Always my favorite. Your time to shine here, Frank. Our friends at DoorDash bringing us with the Icebreaker segment. And there's been a lot of talk about the names of the Vegas Golden Knights that could potentially be on the move now that Jack Eichel is close. He's taken full contact in practice. Can't be too far away. I've seen that as a player. Once you start taking contact, it's pretty close. So who could possibly be on the move for the Vegas Golden Knights? If anybody, will there be somebody on the move? Is it possible that they don't have to make one?
It is possible, and I don't know what the Vegas Golden Knights are going to do, but I can tell you from talking to people around the league that there were a lot of eyebrows that perked up on Wednesday night when Mark Stone missed the game, and Pete DeBoer confirmed afterwards that this is a reoccurrence of the back injury that caused him to miss 29 days earlier in the season. And immediately, rival general managers from around the league have begun to talk. Is this the opportunity? Is this the option that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to take in order to try and activate Jack Eichel and have him return to the lineup? The belief is, and again, not confirmed, we'll see how the Golden Knights play this in the coming days, is that Stone is suffering from a degenerative back condition that may keep him out long term. Maybe until the playoffs? That's the big question mark. And Stone, if his $9.5 million salary is moved to the long-term injured reserve, that would open up enough space, not just for the Vegas Golden Knights to activate Jack Eichel, but the other big part of the equation that hasn't been talked about nearly as much is defenseman Alec Martinez, who continues to work his way back from a facial injury that he suffered earlier in the season. It depends on who you talk to, but a lot of sources seem to suggest that Alec Martinez is getting very close. He was involved in some battle drills earlier this week, I believe on Wednesday, including against Jack Eichel in practice. So he's taking contact. It gives you an indication that he's inching closer and closer to a return. In order to activate Jack Eichel and Alec Martinez at the same time, the Golden Knights would need to clear almost $11 million in salary cap space. I believe the exact number is $10.95 million. Moving Mark Stone to the long-term injured list at 9.5 would get them a significant chunk of that. So instead of moving what guys and teams assumed all along was potentially Riley Smith or Evgeny Dadonov, or maybe even a Jonathan Marchessault, they may not need to go down that path and then could simply, at the point that Mark Stone gets healthy, whether that's in the playoffs or what have you, activate Mark Stone when there is no salary cap. Again, not to raise alarms, don't know what the Vegas Golden Knights are going to do, don't know completely the severity of Mark Stone and his injury. All I can tell you is that is exactly what rival general managers have begun to talk about. Is this an avenue for the Vegas Golden Knights to move forward? And if so, will the NHL allow something like that to happen? You could see a lot of teams crying foul if Mark Stone were to go down with this injury now after playing for a significant period of time to then ultimately be activated for the playoffs using that loophole that some other teams have used. We'll see what ends up happening there, but that is what teams are talking about today, Mike.
Well, you can't help but think that there's going to be a lot of red flags raised if that's actually what takes place. And the word degenerative is always scary. I think of Nathan Horton and other players that have ended up having careers ended from something like that. So hopefully the best for Mark Stone, and we'll see how it plays out with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, flipping back to the Montreal Canadiens, yesterday, there was a little bit of talk around the league that the front office might be looking towards bringing in Vinny Lecavalier. Now, of course, there's connections there previously. He might be a fit. You think about the old Lightning connection, Marty St. Louis. I'm just waiting to be called in as the goalie coach. I haven't gotten that call yet, Frank, so you can't break that here on Icebreakers. But do you think there's a chance that Vinny Lecavalier could end up in Montreal joining some of his former teammate as well as his former agent?
Yeah, I think it's certainly a possibility. Now, there was a report out of Quebec on Wednesday that Vinny Lecavalier would be announced as soon as today as a special assistant to general manager Kent Hughes, who, as you mentioned, is Lecavalier's former agent. I'm told that that's a bit premature, but indeed, the Montreal Canadiens have been in conversation with Vinny Lecavalier and his camp in terms of a potential role. What does that fit look like? What would the duties be? What would the time responsibilities be for Vinny Lecavalier, who I believe is back living in Florida? now. So that's a possibility as a special assistant to the general manager. But I'm told at the moment that the Montreal Canadiens are also speaking to another former player at the moment for a very similar role, to have potentially Lecavalier and this other former player step into the organization at the same time in an attempt to reset the culture there in Montreal and what's been a disastrous season. It's been tough for these guys to get through. You listen to some of the players speak and certainly voice their opinion after Dominic Ducharme has been fired. It's been tough to get through. Maybe Marty St. Louis as a coaching change, Vinny Lecavalier and this other former player can help turn things around, in addition to the work that Kent Hughes is doing as general manager alongside Jeff Gordon as president of hockey operations.
Yeah, definitely a long season in Montreal. Players have had mixed emotions all around. And Frank, good work as always. This has been the latest edition of Icebreakers, delivered by DoorDash.